of the Rufus Rundown. I think we're at season 5, episode 9 for this one. We're still keeping them rolling. Have yet to get Ryan Quinlan on. I had promised that for a while now. I don't think I've ever had a situation with this where it's been so hard to actually find time to get a guest on with the way our schedules have been. But Wednesday, I think Wednesday's looking like the day where we're going to be able to record, and I'll probably have it up by Friday. We've got a couple of things on this episode. I got the Kyrie Irving trade, obviously, which is not yet finalized, but still worth the discussion depending on how that plays out. The Ja Morant story, which is very strange. LeBron James wanting to be normal, as he's about to break the all-time scoring record in the NBA. Like, he wants to be normal. Strange. Jesse Marsch being fired by Leeds United. And then, obviously, I want to talk about the NFL a little bit. The Pro Bowl was just an absolute disaster. And then I do want to touch on the Super Bowl a little bit. I do want to totally preview the Super Bowl in its own right as the week comes to a close, as we go towards Super Bowl Sunday. Because how about the Pro Bowl? It's just bad, man. But also, I do want to talk about how it is Black History Month and that we have 2 black quarterbacks facing off in the Super Bowl for the first time, and it's pretty cool. But without further ado, this episode is brought to you by Know Yourself Clothing, as well as 508 Performance Strength and Conditioning, a new gym coming to you in the south coast of Massachusetts. Thank those guys for all that they do for me, and I'd like to show a little love back to them by throwing them up there on the banner. The CEO and founder of Know Yourself, Israel Fatade, he has been a guest. He will be a guest again. That will be soon enough. I'm just really need to get Quinlan on, and the same with Jared Ansel at 508 Performance Strength and Conditioning. But anyways, let's get into the Kyrie Irving trade. So Kyrie Irving was traded from the Brooklyn Nets to the Dallas Mavericks after he requested a trade, considering the contract negotiation talks did not go the way that he wanted to, and he put out a lot of subliminal tweets on his Twitter, as Kyrie does. And there were a couple. Obviously, the Lakers were a team that were involved in the discussions. LeBron's upset that they couldn't get a player like Kyrie, a guy that he's played with. The only guy that Kyrie's ever won with is LeBron. The full details of the trade as it is yet to be finalized. The Nets are still looking to add a third team, which, in reality, when I see the Nets trying to add a third team, I take it as, Kevin Durant's like, whoa. Oh, okay. I said, no, Harden's gone. I've tried to leave. You didn't let that happen. And then Kyrie's now gone. Like, hold on. What are we doing? We're 4th in the East. What are we doing? Whoa. Like, you need to give me back more than the return, which was Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, a 2027 first-round pick, a 2027 second-round pick, and a 2029 second-round pick. High schoolers will be able to just declare straight to the lead by then. So the second-round picks actually equate to a little more value at that point. But that's just so far into the future. The reality is for the Nets is that you might have to sell off Kevin Durant now, but then again, Cam Thomas is out here dropping 40-something a game, and it looks like you kind of freed Cam Thomas up, and he's doing his damn thing. So is it, what does the future hold for the Brooklyn Nets? Fred VanVleet has been a name thrown around. They're trying to work that third team in to get him in there. A very strong shooting guard type player, guy who can play some defense, 3-and-D. They're looking to see if they can add him. That's been the conversation. But again, if you're KD, you wanted to leave. They moved this guy first, and now you're stuck here on your lonesome to carry the load here. I still think the Nets are a talented team, but obviously the dream was James Harden. The dream was Kyrie Irving, and the dream was Kevin Durant. That was the big 3. And this is the second time now that Brooklyn has failed to have any success with their big 3. So it's tough. It's just tough to watch for that team. The whole Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and then basically helping build the Celtics team now. And then again, they had opportunities here that they have done nothing but squander away, with some poor characters coming to the building, and just this toxic situation. I don't think Kevin Durant's a true leader, and I don't think Kyrie Irving is easy to work with by any means. The talent was there. but just not easy. It just didn't get along clearly. And again, what does it mean for KD? There's some reports out there. The Celtics have made some phone calls. Stephen A. Smith reported that the Celtics have made some phone calls in regards to Kevin Durant and maybe swinging Jaylen Brown for him, which I think if you're the Celtics would be a huge, huge mistake. Jason Tatum is not a killer. Kevin Durant is a fantastic player, but he's up there in age. He is now more injury prone than anything, considering some of the injuries he's been through, especially the Achilles being a big one, and that calf continues to bother him now because his movement patterns are flawed. But I think that would totally change the leadership dynamic in your locker room. And I don't think KD's a leader. I don't think Jason Tatum is a true leader. I think you would just. I think Jaylen Brown's more of a leader than both of those guys. So you'd be losing a leader in the locker room for not that much of a change on paper, considering what you're going to have to give up for Kevin Durant. So I don't see that being the move for the Boston Celtics. The Suns inquired about KD, I believe, as well, and still might be in talks to try and swing a deal for him. I think the Nets are more or less trying to bring a player in to help KD, because KD obviously isn't going to want to stay if it's just him and Spencer Dinwiddie and was it Nick Claxton and Cam Thomas is going off now too. Freeing him is a pretty cool deal because he's been dropping 40-something points. Ain't shit, when he said ain't shit funny, there's nothing I'm related to more. Hey, Cam, how come you never smile anymore, even when you're playing well? Ain't shit funny. Totally agree, man. Ain't nothing funny. He's just stoic. But it's cool to see him succeeding, and I hope that that's continued. And I think that if you're looking at something like that, it's a way to kind of say, hey, Kevin, you got this guy. We're gonna, we have other pieces coming in, and we're gonna figure this out. And we're already in the middle of the dance for the East, and we're better off without Kyrie being here. It's better for our locker room. It's better for us. Now you look at the other side of the situation. How does it work out with Luka Doncic? That might be, between him and Luka, one of the worst, if not the worst, defensive backcourt in the league. But it also is probably the most talented backcourt in the NBA. There's not a more talented backcourt in the NBA. Even Clay and Steph, like Luka and Kyrie Irving, in terms of their creativity, their scoring ability, like that is just based off of pure talent. That is the backcourt duo to beat. How does it work though? Because the usage rates are very high. Like, listen, those two are going to get their touches. It's just nobody else will. Christian Wood's a good third piece. There's better third pieces out there. The surrounding depth is not really there for this Mavs team. It really depends on how Luka and Kyrie relate, because they're incredibly talented. They're already in the playoff standings as it is right now with Luka alone. This certainly lightens the load for Luka. But the reality becomes, can they coexist considering how much both of them need the ball? How are they going to figure that out? How are the egos going to play on? That's really going to be the huge thing. How Jason Kidd deals with that. That's the big question mark there. Again, I'm excited to watch. I don't really see how it's going to go. I mean, Kyrie's pretty much destroyed every team he's been on, or just demanded to leave, or hasn't really fit in. So I don't see why this is going to be any different. But it is an interesting dynamic to work with. I mean, I think that I would see Luka as more of the dominant ball handler, playing to Kyrie off the ball. But there's just, like I said, they can do a lot of stuff, and they're gonna have to change things up a lot. In the defense initiative too, your rotational role players are certainly gonna have to step into the fray and step up the defense in terms of the guard positioning. I mean, Luka, you can kind of switch around because of his size. You can kind of switch him off to different guys and have better defenders playing the guard position. But Kyrie, they tend to go after. But he isn't, he's not a complete liability, but still not a solid defender. And we'll see, where the defensive effort is for them as well. But again, I think I'm super excited to see how it does play out. It's a risky decision for Dallas, because the reality is that if it doesn't work out, Luka has not exactly been incredibly happy there. That's a guy who could ask out. Kyrie very easily could, just blow up and do what Kyrie's been doing, and that could, send him and Luka on the way out, and they split, and now you're left with nothing. And it very well could happen fast. It could happen this year. But at the same time, you have, unlimited talent in your backcourt, and you should be able to maybe not win a title, but certainly make a run back to the Western Conference Finals. So again, strange for me in a way. Like the Mavs are the first team I thought of, but then I thought like how much defense that they would actually lack, which is what kind of turned me off from it. And again, that's still a reality, and I'm really not sure if this works out. And even if it does work out, how much can you? I don't think this puts them into a championship bubble. I don't think this makes them a championship contender. So again, it's a risky move to not make them a championship contender. But Luka obviously needs help. He needs that load taken off, and there's just a few more talented players than Kyrie Irving. No matter of getting this upstairs figured out and getting the egos and the system to work with the two of them. That's a challenge, but if that's a challenge, that's obviously a challenge they're willing to bring on because obviously the potential for what can come of this move is worth that risk for them, and I'm interested to see how it goes. So the next thing in the NBA coming up, we got the Ja Morant incident, which is just it's absolutely wild to me what is going on, and it was with the Indiana Pacers. Malice in the Palace. What are we? There's something here in Indiana, I guess. The whole Reggie Miller and the Knicks thing, that rivalry. Anyways, it's involving spectators and players. According to a report from Bob Kravitz and Sam Amick of The Athletic, there was an incident involving associates of the All-Star guard Ja Morant and Ja Morant himself and members of the Pacers traveling party and staff. And now the NBA is investigating it. So what's the deal? What are they investigating? It occurred on January 29th. The Pacers visited the Grizzlies at the FedEx Forum in Memphis. And it began during the game when Morant's father, T, and friend Devontae Peck engaged in a verbal back and forth with a number of Pacers players. Morant's friend was ultimately escorted off the court, removed from the game. They got some clips on Twitter and stuff there. The Grizzlies would eventually win. But, here's what The Athletic had to say. Following a game between the Indiana Pacers and Memphis Grizzlies on January 29th in Memphis, acquaintances of Grizzlies star Ja Morant aggressively confronted members of the Pacers traveling party near the team's bus in the loading area of the FedEx Forum. And later, someone in a slow-moving SUV, which Morant was riding in, trained a red laser beam on them. Yes, I said it. I read it. That's what the event is. So, Pacers staffers, they spoke with The Athletic and remained anonymous. And so they were under belief that the red laser was attached to a firearm, to a gun. And according to the account of the situation, there was a Pacers security guard that said that's 100% a gun. No police report was filed. The report indicates that in lead up to the laser incident, Pack and the Pacers traveling party were engaged in a shouting match in the arena's loading area for 15 to 20 minutes. As Ja Morant and his associates exited the arena in separate vehicles, a laser was pointed in the direction of the Pacers traveling party. So the NBA has responded. NBA spokesperson Mike Bass confirmed the league's investigation, but could not corroborate anyone was threatened with a weapon. He added that certain individuals involved in the post-game situation and the related matter during the game that night have been subsequently banned from attending games in the arena, hinting that Pack would be banned from the FedEx Forum for his role in the incident. Of course, Ja Morant was opposed to it, did an investigation seeing they were capping, they said they were lies from the Pacers people. Still let an article come out to paint this negative image on me and my fam and banned my brother from home games for a year. He's upset. Ja Morant doesn't believe anything. I mean, this is the same guy that threatens to basically shoot somebody on Twitter. So remember it was in the Twitter beef, right? And someone said, I got you a little upset, huh? And then this is after they had lost to the Warriors, correct? And he says, find something safe to do, little bro. And then another exchange of words was said, and he goes, it's free to see how hollows feel. Hollow points on Twitter. eventually deleted it, but it's obviously digital footprint. We still saw it. Like, this is one of the most talented young players in the league. Probably a future MVP, an all-star this year. What are we doing? Like, is this? I cannot believe that this is for real. We're pointing guns at people. Again, this is his father got involved. This is the Grizzlies team that got involved. This is very, very much similar to what the Jailblazers used to look like in the early 2000s. But like what? So the father got involved with Shannon Sharp. The Grizzlies got involved with that, and then they dapped it up. They finished it up. Like, the Grizzlies just continue to have all these headlines. The Dylan Brooks thing, the fights. Like, here's the thing with youth is you have young guys, and you can see the potential, but then you also have events like this where it's like, here is where some of the youthfulness and the lack of intelligent decision-making and experience in life leads to just poor decisions. I mean, getting into a verbal beef while at your kid's basketball game and then proceeding to have your kid in the car and point guns at people, if that is to be true, which, the source that's coming from, The Athletic, it's pretty strong belief that it is. We'll see how the NBA responds to what they can and can't prove. That's the big thing, what they're going to be able to prove. That's just what are we doing? I didn't believe the headline at first. I was like, they what? Like, they pointed, it was just sketchy. And I'm like, they pointed that gun at people? They weren't going to, reality is, who knows if they were going to pull a trigger or not. You think with Ja on the car, it's a terrible idea. Just in general. But, like, if you're really going to do something, like, to have your kid in the car as an NBA player, like, it just was really poor decision-making all around. And, just Ja being there. He didn't do it. It wasn't him holding the gun. It wasn't him starting the beef on the sideline. Listen, the reality is, if you're guilty by association at that point, if you're in the vehicle, the NBA just can't have guys rolling around pointing guns at people because they got pissed at him during the game. So, yeah, banning the guy from the arena, understandable. This is a continued issue with Ja Morant. This is a continued issue with just the whole character of the Memphis Grizzlies. It just continues to be a headache for a kid who's super talented. And I really haven't been able to figure it out yet. But that's a real story. They were pointing guns at people that they got into an altercation with. Couldn't understand that. I think it's just wild. It's mind blowing. Like, I was just speechless. I was like, "They what?" Like, it was a real thing. It's happened. I had to address it. Like, I just couldn't believe it. But now we sit here talking about it. And again, like, Ja's obviously going to deny. But this is, a continued character flaw of Ja Morant. It's a continued asterisk around his name. It's continued, dirt being thrown in his name for these situations that continue to pop up, whether between his father or him, this Grizzlies team, threatening the hollows, which is bullets, threatening the shit, and then obviously pointing a gun at people. Like, there's some red flags going off here, and someone better talk to the kid before really poor decisions are made that affect lives, including his, because it doesn't seem like he's learning. It seems like it's getting worse, like it is snowballing and getting worse. So someone's got to sit Ja down and really talk about what he wants out of his NBA career, because this is not the way. If it turns out to be true, I'm more on the side of this did actually happen considering The Athletic, but how deep it actually goes, I'm not sure. But again, the continued altercations and that headache is not needed. This is a young team that needs to focus on ball and play high-level basketball because they have a kid like Ja, who is a fantastic talent. But these distractions are not good for anybody involved in the NBA as a whole. And that's where I stand on it. So we're sticking with the NBA here. This is the last NBA take that I have. And it's the LeBron James wants to be normal one. This was just another head-scratcher for me. LeBron out there being quoted as saying, "There are times when I wish I could do normal things. I wish I could go to Target sometimes and walk into Starbucks and have my name on the cup just like regular people." What? I get that you have been the face of basketball. You have been the savant, the savior since you were in high school. You came out of high school. You've had this pressure on you. But don't you think he brings some of it on himself? acting the way that he did after the non-call against the Celtics is just one example. Going out there and speaking politically, saying, I have a platform. People telling him to shut up and dribble, and then him saying, that's no, that's outrageous. But then now he wants to be normal. So it's I mean, listen, the shut up and dribble thing's a bad look. But someone tells you to shut up and dribble, and your immediate response is, hey, I have a responsibility, I have a platform, I must speak on these things. But now you want to be normal when it's convenient for you. So you can say all that and do all that, but when you want it to just be, you just want to be you, it's convenient for you to listen. You were correct in saying that you have a platform, you have a place to speak. You don't have to speak on things, but you do have a place in the. You're about to be the all-time leading scorer in the NBA, and you want to be normal now. You're about to break this record, and you're going on record saying you want to be normal. You've been outspoken for the majority of your 30 years and your 30-year-old years and on. You made the decision. You did this whole TV production to decide when you were gonna go in free agency. And now you want to just go to Starbucks and be normal? I get it. I do get what he is saying. But there are way too many other things that he has done throughout his career that is just not. It doesn't support that. There's a lot of stuff that he could have avoided. And yet he brings a lot of this on. And now he just wants to be normal. He's outspoken with everything politically. He's outspoken with calls, referees the NBA. He makes the decision, and he continues to be upset about them not getting Kyrie Irving. I need help. But now you just want to live the normal life. You're about to break the NBA's all-time scoring record, be one of the greatest players to ever live. But yeah, you just want to be normal. I get it. I get that these athletes probably just want to just do their thing. But there's probably a lot of superstars that do and don't bring this attention on. I don't think a guy like LeBron could. But then again, and they picked apart MJ to try and figure out his thing to get on him. It comes with being a part of the business. But and I feel for the people who don't want the attention, who truthfully don't. He's trying to play it off like this is what he really wants, but he goes out there and runs his mouth one way or the other talking about whatever. But now that it's convenient to him, he wants it to be normal. I get it, but you can't have it both ways. You can't speak on having this platform and owing it to people and having to do what you have to do, and then be like, yeah, no, I actually kind of wish it was normal. No, if you're saying you have a right and you have a platform and you do have a right to speak on things, which I think professional athletes do. They shouldn't force their views down people's throats, but they do have a position and a platform to support certain movements and certain things. And I don't think you should brainwash people in a sense. I don't think you should play the sides. But in a reality, I think you do have a position, and a unique position, to raise awareness, to inspire people to be better, to do things that you've done. You do have a unique position. And no, maybe you didn't ask for that, but it's a product of who you are as an athlete, and how dedicated you are and how talented you are. And it gives you the ability to be bigger than that. And I think you should take full advantage of it. And I think a lot of guys do, in a way. And you don't have to take sides to do it, but you can inspire change and inspire people in different shapes and forms. But now that you dance, too close to one side, and then you catch the heat coming back, now you just want it to be normal. Again, the quote might be taken totally out of context, what he was saying. I do get that some athletes probably just want to walk into a Starbucks every once in a while to get their coffee and leave. They probably run into a bunch of people like, oh my, LeBron James. I do understand that. But you are correct in saying that. When he did say it, I have a platform and I have a right, and you do. You're supposed to. I disagree in the way that he does it and maybe what he speaks on. But these super talented athletes totally have a responsibility to stand on a platform and to inspire. And not only to inspire, but to create a certain example for generations to come. 100% people looking up to them. And they have a right to uphold. And again, they don't have to live perfect lives. But there is a way that they have to carry themselves. But it is a blessing. It is a blessing and a curse. But I think there's more power to it than... I think there's more of a positive power to it than he has used it as. So that's why, for me, to hear that he wants it, he just wants to be normal walking to a Starbucks. Like, I get it at the same time. But I don't feel sympathy because he's brought a lot of the stuff that he deals with that he dislikes onto him by saying what he says, doing it in the manner in which he does it, in the way that he has. With the shows and everything that he has and the way that he goes about it and says things. I think that he does bring a lot of it on himself, a lot of the negative energy onto himself. And that's just reality. If he could do it in more, there's a lot of more positive ways he can speak on himself and do things. And again, mistakes are going to be made. People are going to be misquoted and misspoken and bring different energies around. I get it. But there are different ways in which you can handle this, in which I don't think that maybe he wouldn't want to be normal. In the sense where it's like it'd be easier to be normal because you're not so polarizing. But when you're that good, I guess you can be, even outright. And that's what he's dealing with. But again, I don't feel so bad because I do feel like a lot of the negative energy that he brings to himself in this sense, but he just wants to be normal. I think he's brought it on himself. And I don't feel that bad. Next up, before I get into, some NFL thoughts on this one that isn't, totally to the Super Bowl. Yeah, like I said, Super Bowl is going to get its own production. Jesse Marsch. Well, we're talking football. We're talking for international football. Jesse Marsch is obviously a U.S. international coach, and he was let go by Leeds United of the Premier League. They struggled. They struggled mightily ever since he kept them up in the league. But I think this opens the door for the U.S. national team. They were winless the last 7 Premier League matches. They're 17th in the league. They're level on points with Everton, who are in the relegation zone. They both have 18 points. He struggled with Leipzig, which sent him to Leeds once he got let go from Leipzig. But he was very, very good with Salzburg, and he worked under Julian Nagelsmann, who is a fantastic manager for Bayern and was a fantastic manager for Leipzig. So he understands Nagelsmann's system. He has not had the success since he left Salzburg in these bigger leagues. It's unfortunate. But he commands so much respect from the U.S. players, that he's pulling into Leeds. And this guy like Erling Haaland had all of his success under. It was Jesse Marsch. So there are some very, very talented guys that have played under Jesse Marsch. And he commands a lot of respect from them. And the U.S., amid all this controversy with Greg Berhalter, this is a guy they need to capitalize on. I think this is a guy they can wrap their arms around and they can put some trust in. I think the players would play for him. I think the players trust him. I think it'd be a huge miss to not. I mean, people say, does he deserve it? He has struggled his last couple of jobs, but you see what he's able to do with Holland and Salzburg. This is a guy who I think deserves the chance to be a manager of the U.S. national team. I think a guy that people have confidence in, a guy that can play a brand of football that is a little more vibrant, a little more exciting, and can compete with these much bigger countries with his pressing style. I do believe that he's creative enough to, he's been allowed in these bigger leagues more so than any of the other candidates for this U.S. team that would allow them to compete against these bigger countries in these bigger games. He would be more adaptable. His tactics, he's seen more. Been around some of these bigger name players much, much more and seen them play more. So I think all of that factors into why I think that Jesse Marsch should be the next man in charge of the national team. They should definitely make a move for him. It almost seems like it's too easy of a decision. And again, it's not perfect. He has struggled with these last couple jobs, so it's not a perfect decision to make. It's not a slam dunk, but still, personally, for me, I've for a long time been waiting for the U.S. national team to have the opportunity to sign Jesse Marsch, and I was hoping it'd be, soon before this World Cup coming up that's going to be in the U.S. And I could think of no one better to take on the responsibility than Jesse Marsch for the U.S. national team. Again, not everybody's going to be a huge fan, but at the end of the day, please give me someone else. Please give me a better option than Jesse Marsch right now. I don't think you're going to find one. Call in, let me know. Hit the call line, hit the text line, let me know. I don't think you're going to find anyone a better candidate with some track records from some really good players, the clubs that he's been at. Again, hasn't had success in the last 2 jobs, but, they weren't ideal situations. Anyways, he kept leads up. Struggled with Leipzig after not making it out of the Champions League group stages, and it was not a pretty picture there, filling in behind Nagelsmann, but I still have a lot of confidence in Marsch and being able to be in an adaptable system and, really providing tactics that will allow us to compete with these huge countries and these soccer capitals of the world. Next up, I want to talk about, I didn't watch the Pro Bowl. I held true with my boycott of the Pro Bowl. I did not watch it. But again, nobody was a fan of it. I heard somebody say it was glorified flag football. No. I think you were misinformed. You're misinformed. It's not glorified flag football where they just weren't tackling the year before. No. You're misinformed. You didn't watch it. When you saw flag football, you thought that's what they were kidding about. It's glorified flag football. No. This time it was just straight flag. Myles Garrett dislocated his toe. They're doing all these skill comps. Tyler Huntley, Derek Carr, Trevor Lawrence are your Pro Bowl quarterbacks in the AFC. What? Josh Jacobs is quoted as saying, "This shit is stupid." And it is. What are we doing? Make it let them go celebrate. Make it like a concert. Film them while they're around. Let them, pay for a vacation for them and let them all be around each other. Make it a reality TV show for a week. Or just give, them people unlimited access to them for, the Super Bowl week as well. But, stop playing these games because, there's just no need for any of it. No one's committed to it. You're devaluing what a Pro Bowl nomination means. There's guys in the Hall of Fame where they say have so many Pro Bowl appearances. It doesn't matter anymore. Look at what it's become. Where are the Sean Taylors who were lighting up punters? Punters running fake punts and then getting decapitated by Sean Taylor. No one wants it anymore because no one wants to get hurt. These are franchise players. These are their lives at stake. I'd love to see it too. Pro Bowl legitimately being played, but the reality is the risk is not worth it. There's no reward there. Maybe you start putting money out there. Winner take all, $100 million or something, the winning team. If you're gonna play these games, and not flag, I'm saying full on football. No one wants to see flag. You have to up the incentive or drop it completely. No one's doing this just for fun. There has to be a monetary incentive, and a good one, to get passion out of these guys. Because what we're seeing now is just disgusting. It's a waste of time. I like the interactions of the players. I like getting to see the players in a different light. But there are ways that you can express that without putting on display what they did. I didn't watch that boycott, but no one liked it. No one was a fan of it. Everybody was frustrated with it. What are we doing? We're just totally devaluing what a Pro Bowl means. Just give them the votes. Give them the nods and put it on their resume, but don't play anything. Don't do anything. Give them a banquet, an award ceremony, whatever you do. But no, I'm done watching this. Or you up the value of what you're offering them. There has to be some sort of value that they're working towards. Millions of dollars, winner take millions. If you're a member of the winning team, you make whatever X amount of money per $1 million per person, or $2 million. You'll see it. You have to influence this change somehow. But how it's going right now is not it. It's flat out not it. I don't think the teams will like them paying the players to do it because I think that gets tricky because, again, their contracts and what they're worth more to their teams than just that couple million they'd be playing for in that game. In which case, just stop playing the games as a whole. No one's watching this. No one wants to see this. People are grossed out by it. It's hurting your game more than helping it. Just give them the nominations. Give them a little awards banquet if you want. Put them on TV. Give people access to interview them and talk about their season. Make content out of it galore. But stop the games. Stop this. Stop it. Just find a way to media market the week leading into the Super Bowl any other way. than what they just did this time around, and what they did without when people weren't tackling, or influence them with like millions of dollars per incentive. You have to incentivize it, and if that's frowned upon, you just cut it completely, because people cannot go on watching this. It's gross, and it hurts the game. It hurts the NFL's brand by putting the stuff on display that they did. And then a guy getting hurt, too. Even this way, still getting hurt. Dislocating his toe. I mean, all of these non-contact injuries still possible. ACLs, Achilles is all still very possible. Just cut it completely. Just cut it completely or up the incentive. The only two ways the NFL can go with a Pro Bowl week or a Pro Bowl weekend. That's it. It's the only way they can do it. Another thing that I saw that was cool, like football related this week, before I dig into like I said, the entire Super Bowl, we'll have a lot of to dig into throughout the media week. It allows me to actually talk about a guest that I want to bring on this month. So Robert Griffin III tweeted out, "The narrative of absent black fathers is constantly pushed in the media. Looking forward to all the Super Bowl week deep dives into the upbringing of Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, who had present fathers. Do the right thing and talk about Avery Hurts and Patrick Mahomes Sr." I think this is totally cool. I think you have two very impressive young men that, have really created great careers for themselves. Jalen Hurts, benched in a national championship game, transfer schools. He's been through a lot. Patrick Mahomes sits the whole first year. No one, storms onto the scene. Really, really cool storylines for both of them. And it is Black History Month. It's the first time that two black quarterbacks have ever started against each other in the Super Bowl. It really is, part of this new generation, this new age. There's always been these stereotypes and stigmas about how black quarterbacks can't play quarterback, and it's about they're not mentally capable. And there's always been these stereotypes and these stigmas, for all these players, and that they have to overcome these stories. You've seen the memes about ESPN about fathers dying and how to grow up with this and that, and there's all this overcoming the negatives, but no one ever actually appreciates the good values that helped create these players. And this is a perfect example of I'm sure there's a lot of adversity they've overcame, but in terms of their family life and in terms of everything, like they should be a lot of these stereotypes have been beaten. They are leaders of their teams. They were brought up very well, and they've been challenged with adversity on the football field. But in reality, that they've had great support systems along the way, and it has helped elevate them to this level. And I think that should be celebrated. They should be celebrated as athletes. And I think it's a cool little segue into the fact that there's a lot more to talk about this week, and there'll be a lot more to talk about with the stories. I think we're going to learn a lot more about these two guys. And like you said, those are the upbringing that they had and the relationships they have with their dads, which I think is very, very cool. Like Jalen Hurts' dad was a coach, a high school coach, his high school coach, as a matter of fact. Patrick Mahomes' father obviously played in the major leagues. They are very much around the game of football and around leaders. Their dads being that for them, showcasing leadership, obviously athleticism too. But just being in those environments obviously had a mental effect on them that helped them grow into who they are now. And I definitely think that's going to be something cool to look into throughout the week with the stories that you're going to hear. And cool, it's happened during Black History Month. And I'm glad I'm able to actually, to witness it, because you're two super talented guys that are going to be squaring off in a big game. And it should be a very, very entertaining game. I'm also going to be bringing on Pat Aiken. Pat Aiken's actually called in once. Pat Aiken was a former teammate of mine at Dean. My first year here, he graduated. And he's been sharing out a lot of different history pieces each day on his Instagram story for Black History Month. So at some point for Black History Month, I'm going to bring on Pat to talk about a lot of African-American athletes and what they mean to him. Athletic trainers as well too, because that's what he's trying to get into, is athletic training. Black athletic trainers, and historically, how everything's gone through sports with black athletes for Black History Month. It's gonna be a really cool episode. When I do put it together, I think it's gonna, just really be cool for me to speak about it, throughout Black History Month, to bring on Pat, who's well educated in it, and a good friend of mine. So I think it's going to be a really fun episode when we get it together. I think you guys are all going to enjoy it. But that's pretty much where I'm going to wrap this one up. Yeah. I got Ryan Quinlan coming on this week. We've got the Super Bowl coming up, and we'll get into that. I'll make some picks with Quinlan in terms of what we think is going to happen with the Super Bowl, I think. If we're recording Wednesday, maybe we won't make the picks yet. We'll see who's active, inactive. Maybe we'll do some prop bets. Because Quinlan likes to make his picks as well. Me and him are in touch about stuff like that. Again, there's the number to call or text and you got any questions for Quinlan. You got any sports takes at all that you want me to touch upon. Please give me a call or text and let me know what your thoughts are on this. What do you think about what's going to happen with Kyrie Irving, how that's going to go? What were your thoughts on the Pro Bowl? What are your Super Bowl thoughts? All the above. Call or text in 508-216-0858 is the number you see on your screen there. That's all the time I got for you guys today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you did like the video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Drop a comment as well. And all the social medias and everything that you need to see that's up on the screen here and where to find me is listed in the description below. So go check it out. Twitter, Instagram, all of the above. Go find it. Go follow me because you're going to want to stay tuned because I'm been consistent. This is a promise I made to you that I'm finally coming through with. The consistency has been huge. And everything's came through, so I just continue to push out content more and more. Appreciate everybody and all the support. But that's all the time I got for you guys today. It's your boy Rufus. Signing off.
I feel elevated. Call the homies, it's a celebration. I need more space, I need meditation. Got a little time and a little patience. Goddamn. Look, fuck the season up, I'm tired of waiting. I was in my feelings coming out the basement. You ain't giving chances, bitch. You got it.